Good evening, everybody, students and parents. My name is Karolina Grujic, and I'm opening Computer Science Career webinar for high school students, organized in collaboration of Serbian Entrepreneurs Organization and Serbian-Canadian magazine Sun. The goal of the webinar is to inform, to educate high school students on the topic of computer science careers. On the topic of computer science careers, speak of opportunities and different pathways that this popular and interesting career can offer. And of course, to encourage young people of grade 9 and 10 to start thinking of computer science as their career, and students grade 11 and 12 to encourage them to face the challenge and choose computer science as their career path or post-secondary education. We have three experts in computer science field with us tonight. Tihomir Bajic, Sasha Krsmanovic, and Konstantin Grbić. And there will be about 10-minute talk on the topic by each of them, followed by a session of answering questions. Please feel free to send questions over YouTube chat at any time during this conversation, and they will be answered at the end. Our first panelist tonight is Sasha Krsmanovic. Sasha holds a degree in computer science from University of Toronto and Masters of Business Administration. He is the Chief Marketing Officer at UNO Platform and Head of Toronto Chapter of Serbian Entrepreneurs. Prior to working in the marketing sector, Sasha was MVP at Microsoft and teaching assistant at University of Toronto. Our second panelist tonight is Tihomir Bajic. Tiho holds a degree in computer science from University of Toronto and is VP of Engineering and Long-Term Stock Exchange based in San Francisco Bay Area. Tiho has extensive experience with software startups, and he is the founder and lead of several successful companies. He is also founder of Serbian Entrepreneurs, a political, non-governmental, paid-forward network of entrepreneurs fostering the Serbian startup ecosystem. And our third panelist is Konstantin Grbić, student of computer science at University of Toronto. Konstantin is very enthusiastic about the area of his studies and career path that he chose, and was kind and bold enough to share that passion and rationality with us tonight. And now I'm inviting Sasha to start as the first panelist.
Thank you. Thanks for that intro, Karolina. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we make a decision as to what are you going to pursue later on in your career. And I obviously got invited because we know Karolina, but IT has been very generous to me. So I'm invited because I have positive things to say about it. But it's actually even more than that. I think I can offer some perspectives from people who have also chosen IT. That's part of my job to hang out with people to whom IT has been very generous, and they also have this mentality of paid forward, give back to the community, give back pure cash, or go around conferences and talk to people about these kinds of careers, or just teaching them the skills that they have. So my opinion is basically, I guess it's formed both my personal experience, but as well as I have the lens all those other professionals that I work with. And like Karolina said, just a bit about myself, a bit more about myself is like Karolina said, I graduated from computer science. My first job was at Microsoft. I was pretty lucky that I think helped set me up on the right path. And then I chose to join a Balkan-based company, which was a huge everybody in the family wanted to shoot me, leaving the city of Microsoft and going for this kind of startup-like company in the Balkan. But we ended up building that company to over 1,000 people, and we ended up selling it for $280 million, of which I got a tiny share, but it was very rewarding to have built something like that. And now I'm doing it all over again with a company from Montreal, pretty much following the same footsteps. And I guess one of the things to also maybe offer as evidence as to why you should choose IT is that I did most of this by working from home. I never went to the office. Actually, just today I went downtown Toronto to meet with some friends. Everybody's in a suit and a tie and everything else, and I just kind of look at it and like, I feel sorry for you. You have to dress like that every day. I don't from Montreal, get out of running shoes. That's it about the background. I've got basically 5 points to make as to why one should choose computer science, and I'll get into a little bit deeper into each one of these points. But I'll tell you that computer science or IT is very versatile. It's very flexible. It's here to stay. It's very fulfilling. And it's very rewarding. So
can I just take one moment? We're experiencing some microphone difficulties. So if everybody could just check that they don't have their microphones, they're not listening to the stream out loud, and that they have headphones on. Tijo, I know you didn't have headphones. If you could possibly find some, I would.
I'm not listening to the stream.
Okay. I think we're experiencing some interference. At least that's what the chat is saying. And when I turned on the stream, you could hear the echoing. So it might be just that. Your microphone is picking up you listening to the conversation to Sasha on Skype. And that's the echo that we're experiencing. So if you have some headphones, I think that should solve the problem.
Or just jockey the mute button. That's all.
That as well.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that, Sasha. We'll be going back to you. If you could repeat those 5 points, please.
Sure. The 5 points I was making was that IT or computer science is very versatile. It's very flexible. It's here to stay. It's very fulfilling, and it's very rewarding. And by versatile, what do I mean by versatile? I remember myself being in high school, and I actually ended up choosing IT. It was a very easy choice for me because I basically just came to Canada, and IT was everybody was going into it, so it was a reasonable thing. It's very versatile, it's very flexible. Somebody who is here to stay, or had some good background in math and physics, and it was promising. Jobs are out there, so it was very easy for me. But I've also witnessed many people throughout that high school period, people who have really struggled, really tried to do all the research, and this is not to scare you, but it felt like most of those people ended up choosing the wrong profession. And I'm not going to pick on any one particular profession, but I've noticed a trend of people getting to year 3 or year 4 of university and just be like, well, this is not what I signed up for. And they ended up either starting university from scratch or just doing something completely else. Just studying for a lot longer. Also not realizing that for many of the degrees nowadays, you can't do anything with just a university degree or undergrad degree, but that you have to do at least master's, if not PhD. And it really does, it makes people get surprised that they need to do a PhD in order to be let's say a psychologist, that they can be a psychologist just by finishing undergrad, things of that nature. So. And as far as IT goes, computer science goes, that's one of the professions that you actually, with the university degree, with 4 years, provided you did well, you can probably get a pretty good job. But I feel that training that all 3 of us on this call have gone through at computer science at U of T is also, it's really just like a big gym that you go to, and you really train your muscle. And I feel like all of us in computer science from U of T, I feel like we can do anything we want. And many people have, after doing some jobs in computer science and IT, they've chosen and taken on additional paths, additional education. Myself, I did MBA, but there are other people who do other things too, and really IT laid the foundation for this. So that's why I feel it's very versatile. IT is flexible, and you heard me say that of course I work from home, but it's not only that, working from home and being one of the cool guys at Starbucks who's like typing away at something. It means that even going elsewhere, for a good chunk of my career, I lived in Halifax, and nobody knew I was in Halifax. Nobody cared that I was in Halifax, and Nova Scotia is beautiful. So you get to explore and go to these extensive trips, either to live or to go for extensive, let's call it vacations. But you can do it. So that flexibility. I don't think many other professions can actually do it. I said IT is here to stay, and actually it's very hard to spend time with all the artificial intelligence and everything. Which professions are here to stay? Which ones are going to leave? But it's guaranteed that many professions are just going to be wiped off. Again, don't mean to scare you, but that's just how it is. Analogy that I read in one book one time, which I really liked, is that when the steam engine came around, it replaced a lot of the muscle power to do in order to get the job done. Now artificial intelligence can do the same brain power. So it's really hard to say which professions are going to get wiped. But my bet is that computer science one is going to be a little bit harder to replace. IT is very fulfilling, and by that I mean that really guys with our skills, they go and solve some really, really big problems for the society as a whole. And I think many of the whatever they call your generation nowadays, but Generation YZ or whatever it is, whatever letter we're at right now, millennials, I think that's important for everybody, especially to the new generation, to find purpose in life. Purpose does lead to happiness, and I think you guys will, you will find IT very fulfilling because you can branch off into any particular field and help improve society, right? And lastly, it's very rewarding. I have traveled on company bill to, I can keep on going. I don't want to brag, but anywhere from Brazil, Australia, Hong Kong, Europe, a million times, almost the whole of Canada and the United States. And I feel like I got a really good tour of the world just by going on business trips, right? And now I know where to go back to, right? So it was very nice. So those are my 5 points that, if I would say, if you were to choose for IT for anything, it would be for that versatility, flexibility. It's here to stay. It's very fulfilling and it's very rewarding. And I'll just give you one thing to do if you don't believe me. It's really, talk to your parents or to your parents' friends. Get all of their resumes. Change their name. And change the names on it, change a few details here and there, and go ahead and start applying for jobs, different jobs. Be a lawyer for a day, be a business graduate for a day, be a programmer for a day, and see how many calls back for a job you get. There is nothing beating that. That's just your evidence. Nobody telling you anything. You'll see how many calls back you get in IT, and that's it for me. I apologize if you hear my baby crying, but that's it for me. I'm happy to take any questions at the end.
Yeah. Thanks, Costa, for letting me know about the microphone issue. So thank you, Carolina, for the introduction. Really great to be on the panel with two other University of Toronto students or graduates. A really brief history on how I came to the science. It's very important timing and the entry point to the field and how that propelled the rest of my career. So in 1999. We moved from Croatia to Toronto, and that was really at the time of the height of the dot-com bubble. I happened to have a cousin who's a number of years older in the field, had at the time a master's in computer science from another university in Ontario. And he was just telling me about how the whole field was exploding. At that point, I had done exactly zero programming, and I was 18 years old. But I had a very solid foundation in math and sciences, and I decided, why not give this a try? So I took a course at my high school, and then the following year I enrolled. At that time, the OAC in Ontario. I enrolled into computer science and math program at University of Toronto. I ended up taking 5.5 years to graduate because about a year and a half in, I discovered the world of startups. And this is the point that Sasha was making as well. I had many friends from my high school and elsewhere who studied or who tried to apply for different majors. And a bunch of these other majors, they actually don't prepare you for the job you're actually going to be doing, unlike computer science. And with only about 2 years under my belt programming at that, and a bunch of advanced math courses, I was already employable for a startup at the time. That startup ended up being a rocket ship. I was about a 50th employee there, and about 2 years later, we had 500 million revenue, and the company went public stock exchange. The company called WorkBrain, and 5 years later, we were acquired by a real large holding for. So I got to see technically what you would call some of the first lines of code, the first customers going as a public company, and seeing that whole cycle repeat. But I was lucky enough to be friends, right time, right place. Be friends / colleagues, founders of WorkBrain. Then we started a new called RYPPLE. About 4 years later, that led me to San Francisco because a number of our customers were from the San Francisco Bay Area. After the sales from that startup, I decided one more startup, an Australian startup, Australian and Canadian startups. And then through that, was talking about, I got a chance to actually travel the world because that startup kind of about 270 different countries around the world. About 4 years later, Cisco, as all these startups, opportunities, I got to the entrepreneurship, really got to appreciate what entrepreneurship for society, us entrepreneurs really apply themselves to real problems, technology to solve those problems. I think the foundation for all that was my computer science. I got muted. You guys hear me? Yeah. Okay. University of Toronto is one of the top research universities in the world for computer science. But again, it does help you find that job and does help you kind of propel you in that career. Also, since I mentioned decisions I got research. You guys hear me? I was still making decisions today. And today in Toronto, unlike 20 years ago, where you have a number of large companies, there are also a number of smaller companies and startups that are really big. Right next to the campus downtown you have Marsh Center as well, which is just an amazing place to be and visit. So I definitely encourage anybody who is even potentially entertaining an option of going to computer science to go and check out the campus, to go and check out a few lectures and just talk to a few students about the skills that they're learning and what that is giving them. Because as I was making the point, and I'm trying to reiterate the point, it is the type of education that really prepares you to do the job on day one, and you can start doing the job even before you graduate, which is in my case what I did. In addition to the points that Sasha made, and I definitely agree with, I want to emphasize that computer science teaches you a way to think about problems in an applied way. So obviously there's a lot, it has a very strong foundation in math and logical thinking and formal analysis, but fundamentally it is solving a bunch of real problems with computers, right? And just the way it teaches you how to methodically approach a problem, how you break it down, how you go about finding a solution, and how many times you're often surprised by the end solution, the end result. I think is very, very powerful. And having worked with other professionals in other fields, I think computer science is quite unique, or one of the few fields that allows you, that gives you the formal foundation to really take the thinking to break down any sort of a problem into a solution. So I'll pause there, and I'm looking forward to the questions at the end of the panel.
All right, so now it's my turn. Hopefully you can hear me. My name is Konstantin Grbic. I'm still at school at the University of Toronto. I'm in my third year studying computer science. And unlike our other two panelists, I have not had a successful startup, nor have I had any other corporate experience for that matter. And I just wanted to help those watching today understand the breadth of opportunity that the field of computer science and information technology can provide. So all three panelists here have studied or are studying computer science at the University of Toronto, but studying computer science is by no means the only path to a job in tech. Obviously, these large tech companies that we have nowadays, they require traditional jobs to help supplement the coding that is going on. So this does not mean that having a job in tech means being a programmer. You could be a business analyst. You could be in human resources at a tech company. Just recently, I saw a video about how at the Google headquarters in New York, they serve 20,000 meals a day. So that means that's a lot of jobs as chefs that are present, and that will continue to be present going forward because of the economic strength of all these tech companies. Regardless, we're here to talk about a career in IT, and for that, I just like to say that studying computer science is not the only way to go, in the sense that software engineering is also an option. Computer engineering is also an option. Obviously, these disciplines do not overlap 100% with being a programmer or with being a software developer, but there are also other options that can lead you to have a similar career path in tech. And so, furthermore, what I wanted to say was that as Sasha alluded to, tech is a very interesting career field because of the unconventional ways in which jobs can be structured. So working remotely is another thing that tech also allows for that is not so common in other fields of employment. And that's really all I have to say, and I'll give it back to Carolina for the questions.
Carolina, I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm back. So we have several questions that we got from the audience. Thank you for listening and asking this question. So I will try to maybe just address a question to each of you, and then the one who comes later can help in adding an additional response to the same question. So the first question would be for Costa. What would be the best way for a high schooler to get into computer science program in Canada nowadays?
So the best way for to get into a computer science program is having high marks, and that is the only way. Especially at UFT, they only look at marks. So for a student in grade 12 in Ontario, that means you'd have to do your 2 math courses and English. Those would be your requirements, and then 3, I believe, supplementary courses to round out all the marks. The course load that is required to apply to any school in Ontario. So, for example, I did not take computer science in high school, nor was it necessary when applying to computer science at UFT. Only math and English were required, which was appealing to me because, well, I didn't take them, and it's an opportunity that I wouldn't have had they had this more strict requirement. So for any student applying in grade 12, I would tell them, try to achieve the highest marks possible in the three required courses, and then the courses where you get to choose which ones you use to apply to universities. In the case of those, try to strike a good balance between something that you find interesting and that you enjoy, and also something where you know that you can achieve a high mark, because quite frankly, the requirements to get into UFT, for example, are quite stringent, and if you don't achieve the marks necessary, then you will probably be looking elsewhere to continue pursuing a computer science degree. And one more point that I may add is that if you really want to go to UFT, then applying for a different program in the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, and then transferring to computer science is also a possibility, but it is fairly difficult to accomplish, and I'm not sure how to do that anymore, seeing as I was never in that position, and the system has changed. But if that's something that if that's a position that you find yourself in, where you believe that your marks will not be high enough to get in, then that could also be an option for you. However, it is much riskier than simply applying to a different Ontario university for a degree in computer science.
I actually have two follow-ups for Costa. To what Costa said. One is a number of people who started their computer science at another Ontario university and then switched to University of Toronto. And at least it used to be the case that they would recognize a bunch of those. Sometimes you would have to retake the courses, but they would recognize them. And the reason why people did that was because exactly what Costa was talking about. Like, it's actually really hard to get into computer science at University of Toronto. Sometimes a percent grade here or there makes a big difference. And then the other follow-up is prior to entering a computer science university undergrad, because they teach you the basics in the first courses. And personally, I had very limited programming experience prior to entering my undergrad.
Okay. I guess I'm back. I can be asking the second question. And this question can be answered by Sasha, I suggest. What are some differences between software engineering and computer science? Because I know that software engineering can be studied both at the engineering and computer science faculties. So, and then if you can also respond to the second question, which is for both you and Tiho, if you would be choosing a post at 2020, would that be the same as what you chose some years ago?
I'll try with the first question. It's been some years since I've been at school, so I know conceptually what the difference is, but maybe Costa is probably better suited to do that. Computer science did not have as much. Computer science and computer engineering would probably differ in the software versus hardware aspects of things. Computer science being just basically a part of the sciences department. Costa, you correct me here. I'm really going off something I last thought of 20 years ago. So myself, I ended up being a software engineer within computer science department, and we never got the ring or any of those things that engineers get. But I would say computer scientists are much more algorithm driven, or I'm sorry, a lot of the things that are being taught there are very abstract concepts and algorithms and things of that nature that are not language specific. So in that, they would differ from a traditional programming training that you could get elsewhere. So that would, to me, hopefully that helps. And I'm just going to tee off on what Theo said, is that for many of those courses in there, you would walk into a course and you would be learning algorithms. But, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to do it in so-and-so programming language. And the programming language was never taught. It was just expected that you are going to pick this up on a side as you figure out the algorithms, right? So I do, like Theo said, I do encourage looking into some of these programming languages. If you're going to start U of T, look into what is being taught in the first year, and just get some basics. It'll help immensely. So hopefully that answers. Hopefully people can also help me answer that question, because again, I may not be the best one to answer that. And then when I choose U of T, I'm really proud of U of T, of being part of an alumni as a U of T. So I would say yes. It was really tough, but it's kind of like one of those things that, like a Navy SEAL, you go through it and now you're one of them, and now you feel like you're it, So, but it was tough. It was tough at, I remember many sleepless nights and trying to get things working. But we are the top breed. I'm sorry if I sound arrogant, but that's what we are. In you look at U of T, it's recognized worldwide in just about any field. We're always in like top 10, and so. Yeah, U of T definitely, but also to have this kind of, I think Costa mentioned that if you're really somebody who really loves this kind of stuff, right, you don't even need to go to university. Like, if your parents are listening, they're probably hating me right now. But I would say, if you're somebody who really digs this stuff, you can probably go, you can pick up stuff online. There's so much knowledge online that you can pick it up, but it's really going to be at the programming level. And you have to be self-driven in order to accomplish that. U of T puts you through this drill that really, creates a great professional out of you. So hopefully that. So in short, yes, I would choose U of T again.
I can answer the question in reverse. In reverse, choose both computer science again, and I would choose both University of Toronto as a place where to study for exact same reasons that Sasha said. A lot of students find the first year most difficult. I actually found the second year the most difficult, just because it had the most formal math, and it had really a lot of computer science courses in which a lot of homework was expected, a lot of programming was expected. Just the number of hours that I put in the second year was probably the greatest, and also the toughest. At the time I was in my fourth year. I was actually really enjoying, as I had developed a bit of knack. But yeah, it is a ringer. Not everybody graduates. It is a very tough program. University of Toronto in general tends to be a demanding school, but especially computer science. I studied computer science and mathematics is really demanding. As I was working in a startup, and then I ended up studying part-time, I ended up taking actually a lot more courses than was required to graduate in the end, and ended up picking up economics and ended up picking up business. And I think the intersection of computer science and economics or applied business is really, really interesting to me. And I would recommend it to any other student who is maybe gravitating towards more of a business or a finance type of a degree, because the foundations are very similar when it comes to math and formal thinking. but just the way you go about solving problems in computer science is more, pen, paper, and a keyboard versus in business, it's, PowerPoints and other things. So I would definitely pick U of T, and I would definitely pick computer science again. And then the other question is, the difference is really at the University of Toronto, what faculty you go and study under. That's number one difference. Computer engineering is under the engineering faculty, so different program, different certification, different requirements to graduate. There's computer science is under arts and science faculty, so you get a Bachelor of Science degree rather than an engineering degree in the end. But in day-to-day, the differences are in the courses that you take. A lot of courses overlap, and they're very similar or the same. But engineering ends up studying more of hardware problems, more of the technical problems, whereas computer science ends up studying more conceptual problems and rigor in thinking.
So I would just like to add that studying computer science, as we've seen by the various different degrees that you can take before doing or having a job in tech, computer science is not the be-all, end-all when it comes to being a software developer or a programmer. Computer science technically is a branch of mathematics, and so doing a computer science degree entails doing a lot of mathematics that you will not necessarily see in your day-to-day life as a computer programmer, as a web designer, as a back-end dev, as a front-end dev. It is more difficult than that. If you should you want to pursue a career in research, you would be able to do it with a computer science degree. If you want to pursue a career in research with some other sort of degree, maybe an associate's degree, maybe you sign up for one of these boot camps that teach you how to be a front-end dev in 3 months, something like that, that option will not be open to you. But with the computer science degree, the degree of difficulty is such that it prepares you for basically anything that you should ever encounter in your professional life.
Okay, I can now add some more questions to the panel. This one may be, I think, for Costa, because you study at U of T now. Somebody is asking, what is the average do you need to, in high school, you need to have to get into U of T computer science program? And that may also be applied also to some other universities' computer science programs nowadays.
So I applied 3 years back, and the entrance or the cutoff for being accepted was around 94. Nowadays, I'm not sure. I haven't been in the loop with regards to exact averages that are required. U of T, I believe, is the most difficult to get into in terms of just raw average. So all other Ontario area universities, their averages, their cutoffs are probably lower. And just something that I'd like to notify you of, if should you choose to come to U of T, is that there's a requirement in first year as well to get into second year. That means you must maintain an average between 2 computer science courses in first year in order for you to be accepted into second year. And if you don't, then you're not accepted into second year, and you cannot pursue the computer science degree further. And the average required is not low. It's not trivial at all. It requires hard work. It's more difficult than anything in high school. It requires more work than in high school. If you breeze through high school, then this will not be a breeze. You will have to apply yourself and have some discipline and determination to get these marks that are required to get into second year. And that's why first year is for most students the most difficult year, because there is this added stress of not knowing if you're gonna make it into second year. And if and then stressing about if you don't make it into second year, what are your options? Will you transfer elsewhere? Will you stay at U of T to pursue another degree in the Faculty of Arts and Sciences? If you choose to transfer to an engineering faculty, you will probably have to start over again from as a first year, because not many credits transfer. So that's just something to keep in mind, that you should educate yourself about the requirements from going from first year into second year. And there's like the courses that are required are online. You can check them out. You can see what the students have been doing. You can try some of the problems for yourself, and just know that the sort of material in these courses, the more math focused material, logic, um, the growth of functions, that sort of stuff, big O, big omega, that is what computer science really is as a sub branch of mathematics, and that is what is waiting for you in higher years. Of course, there's programming as well, but if that's not something that interests you, or it's not something that you could see yourself struggling with to achieve some greater goal of finishing this degree in computer science, then I would suggest that you look for other options that are more what's it called, application focused, such as software engineering, or associate's degrees, or colleges in the area.
Thank you, Costa. We have another couple questions. One is, what would be the most popular programming language that is in use and that is taught nowadays? I think any of you can answer this kind of question.
Sasha, you're muted.
How about now? Good. All right. So there's a couple of things that if you're getting ready yourself ready for U of T, the first year programming courses when I went to school there was Java, and I've heard that they even teach Fortran for whatever reason. It's a very ancient language, but whatever. If you're really looking to start developing things, and something that there's an abundance of resources out there for you to learn, that would be JavaScript, which is not to be confused with Java. It's two different things. Just making sure that you understand that as well. So those things, JavaScript is used to be exclusively kind of tied to the making websites and things of that nature. But since then, JavaScript has really evolved to be this powerhouse that you can do just about anything with, and it's not a Mickey Mouse scripting language or programming language, whichever you want to call it. You would not be doing much JavaScript in the first years of at U of T. I remember we only did it at fourth year. So, but popularity-wise, JavaScript is it. There's no two ways about it. If you're looking to be more on my side of the house, I'm mostly in the Microsoft ecosystem, then that would be C#. So there you have it: Java, JavaScript, C#.
So at U of T, in first year, the programming language of choice is Python, and in second year you do Java, then C, and then in third year it's really whatever the course content requires. So if you're doing a course on databases, then you might do SQL. If you're doing a course on operating system architecture, you might be doing C. But in first year, Python is used because the syntax is very simple, and it's a very easy and intuitive language to get the hang of. In order to be able to test these more computer sciencey topics, where they're testing your algorithmic thinking, and they're not testing your knowledge of the syntax of the language. And since Python is such a intuitive and simple language, to learn, it really lends itself to this goal of testing if you can reason algorithmically, that is mathematically, about these questions that are given to you.
Tiho, do you have anything to add to that in
No,
terms of?
I think Python is a very relatively easier language to pick, and it's more intuitive. It by far is the most popular these days and most prevalent. So definitely can't make a mistake by learning that first. And each one of these languages, whether tends to have a more formal part of it as well. So in JavaScript, there is something called TypeScript, which helps you more, reason more strictly about the language, the types, the formats, what you are doing. And so these are all very, very expressive languages. You won't make a mistake by picking any one of them. And what Costa said is the most important. Like, they really teach you how to think programmatically, how to think algorithmically. That's the most important thing when you're entering first year university.
Okay. There was a question. I don't know if you can answer of that. Why would high school programming not be a prerequisite for computer science? I think Costa already talked about that a little bit.
I can actually talk about that since a bunch of curriculum before. The reason why it's not taught is that programming is actually not computer science. I think Sasha mentioned that as well. Not to be confused, like. It's not it is a big part of it, but it is not. Usually when they teach kids in high school or sometimes even earlier how to program, they're teaching them how to do problems and how to solve things a certain way. They rarely actually teach them about formal way of thinking that gets you to actually then program. And let's remember that programming itself, about 60, 70 years ago, used to be all done on paper, and then somebody would type it out and it would go into a big machine. And so really what you should learn first, if you really want to be formal about computer science, is a way of thinking, then you learn programming next, which is how UFT learns. And that is why the prerequisite to get into University of Toronto or computer science program is not to know how to program. It's actually to have a really good grade in math.
Okay, and then one last question, and we will be wrapping up this session, and it can be actually answered by all of you. It's how computer science student can get a summer job, and also if you have some experience. I think Tiho said he had some, and today's there are really many more opportunities. How can computer science student get involved in creating a startup company or being a part of a startup company?
Costa, you want to go first?
Sure. So, there are many opportunities to get a summer internship for computer science students. There are career fairs that are scheduled, and there is a lot of demand for students in computer science for computer science internships over the summer. You could be working at a tech company, but it will be more likely that in your first year, for example, your first year summer internship will likely be at a bank doing or automating testing of systems that they already have. So that's a pretty a standard first year summer job. And then going on from there, obviously, there's a lot of resources at any university to help you find a job. But it is also helpful if you have some sort of connection. If one of your parents' friends works at a company, that can also be a very useful resource for helping you find positions. Sometimes positions aren't like summer internships aren't necessarily advertised on your university's network, and you have to dig a little bit to find them. Maybe they're only on LinkedIn, or maybe you have to you have to know a recruiter to know that the internship even exists. But yeah, there are very many opportunities get a summer internship. And the way you would go about getting one is you write your resume. You find some exemplar of a resume, maybe your parents' resume, and you do some projects. If you don't have any prior experience, the projects that you have done, programming projects that is, are really the bulk of what separates you and shows your skill as a programmer. And that's what they're looking for. So if you're able to, to do some projects, find some tutorial online that gives you, the setup for this problem, and then just go for it, try and solve it, and that will not only help your ability as a programmer, but it will also be a good thing to have on a resume, and something that may differentiate you from all the other students that are applying for these same summer jobs.
I'll offer just a slightly different take, although I agree with everything that Konstantin said, and it does often come down to connections and somebody recommending you. But the most important thing is there is plenty of opportunity. So getting an introduction to a company that doesn't have to be a tech company, but like a bank or something like that. That's very possible. They always need people at entry level. But the point I wanted to strike is regarding gaining. Why are you looking for a summer job? And my gut feel is that you're asking because you want to get some experience so that you can be more marketable later. And that is the reason, and not monetary. Just to make some cash for school. Then you should also consider what's called open source projects. And to be honest, if a guy walks through the door and says that he had participated in a couple of open source projects, that is a big differentiator. It's massive. What open source is, I'll assume that you don't know anything, is that there's all these frameworks or even products which developers have built over time, and they say they build them in open, meaning that everything that they do is visible to all other developers. And not only that, but they give that product for free for everybody else to use. Right. And there's plenty of those projects and even some JavaScript frameworks that we mentioned before. They're developed completely in the open, and usually by a core group of people who really go after the hard stuff. But they tend to leave a lot of the easy stuff. Leave it for people who are not as skilled as they are. So coming on board, participating and helping out. I think that being an open source contributor these days is probably the biggest differentiator that you can make. I would say give it a look. Some popular places, GitHub. Read some. There's plenty of tutorials as to how to participate, how to help. And just recently there was an initiative called Hacktoberfest. And it's basically just like there's the Movember when people grow mustache. This is Hacktoberfest is when a lot of people who want to contribute a piece of their knowledge to some open source project, they all come in Conversion October, and everybody's developing. And everybody's really welcoming. If you say you're a novice, you're just learning, you want to help. There's people whose job is actually to bring up people like you, like a volunteer. So give that a shot.
I would say that your goal is monetary. There are a number of ways you can make actually really great money if you know computer science and programming. Upwork is a great site. There's a number of them that you can actually get paid by the hour to help out. And you don't have to be an expert in a field. They sometimes need the cost of a thing, just help with tests. If your goal is to learn about startups, for example, I definitely recommend going to hackathons. I definitely recommend going to startup meetups. How to discover those is actually very simple. Literally Google or go to meetup.com. There's a great weekly digest called Toronto Startup Digest. You can sign up for online, and it will give you kind of what's happening every week in Toronto. And just check out a couple of those meetups. They tend to be free of charge. So you can just enter and get to meet people. So connections, that's how you build those connections. And what Sasha was saying about open source and what Constantine was saying about projects, the way you make yourself stand out is either by having really top grades. People are going to just hire you off the grades, or you have a publicly recognized project. Can be open source, it can be your own kind of success story. Or you actually pick one of these hard, increasingly hard math problems that exist online, like Euler project, or you do a coding test, and you just put the score up on the resume. That is a really easy way to get differentiated. And there's plenty of jobs. Don't worry about lack of jobs. There's actually probably 2 to 1, 3 to 1 the number of jobs than summer internships available, or summer interns available for some internships.
I think we answered all the questions for tonight, and our time is out. I just want to thank everybody, thank the audience, and Konstantin and Sasha and Tiho for being here tonight. And I guess this is it. Bye, everybody.